are at the SMPTE conference. I am sitting with Terry Curren, who is the owner of AlphaDogs, and who also, he and his crew are our production crew and our editing crew for all of our SMPTE videos this year, which is fantastic. So we're going to talk to Terry about a few different things, but one, can you tell us a bit about AlphaDogs, how old it is, and just describe it a bit?
Sure. AlphaDogs was started in 2002. We're a post-production house. We primarily do finishing, which means color correction, audio mixing, VFX, graphics design, etc. We also have rental suites for offline, so productions will come in and live with us for months on end, and we do the finishing, and they have all these services in-house, so that makes them happy because we're a full-service post house. So.
Okay, and typically what kind of projects are you working on?
We do a lot of reality TV. We do a lot of lower budget features, and by low budget, nowadays low budget feature means anything under 18 million, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a lot of low budget and a lot of documentary type work. So
okay,
that's our primary bread and butter.
And how has your business changed over the last couple of years? I mean, you're here doing production for us, so you're not just a post company. So can you talk about that a bit?
Sure. When we started AlphaDogs, we always intended to eventually be doing production and creating our own media, because in this day and age, we're a service business as a post house, but in the long term, owning media now owning content is really the key. So that was always the intention. And then what happened was we do this thing called Editor's Lounge, where we have these meetings. We try to do them once a month, roughly.
Yeah.
And I started that as a sort of a give back to the community thing, so a place for editors to get together and learn tips and tricks and network and whatnot. So that we started having these panels that were really good, with seasoned editors and talking about it. So we thought, hey, we should shoot these and then put them online. And so we've kind of built up production, which a lot of which we're using here. We've built up our production gear over the years doing Editor's Lounge. And then that led to the videos online about why do you need color correction, why do you need audio. And one of the things that I realized is because of the commoditization of our tool set, everybody now can make video content. YouTube is living proof of that.
Yeah.
And so when everybody can make content, where is the value in paying for our accumulated skill set over the years?
Sure, but not, I mean, everybody can make content, everybody has a phone, everybody can do that,
right.
But that does not make them a professional.
Well, exactly.
Right.
But the problem is, it's good enough. That's the enemy of our industry. It's good enough.
Yeah.
And where that bar is the key. And so one of the things I always like to look at historical models to try to figure out where things are going to go. So I look for something that's comparable. And what's comparable is writing. Okay, everybody on the planet can afford a pen and a piece of paper.
Yes.
Okay, how many great writers are there?
Yes. That's
not a lot.
That's right.
And then how many people are making a living writing?
Not very many at all.
Not very many, right. So I started analyzing and I go, well, why is that? What makes a better writer? And the thing is that because we're all taught everything about reading and writing from the time we're little. I mean, from the time our parents are reading stories to us as a child, and then schooling, we learn that you can pretty much go to anybody on the street and hand them two papers, one written by a 5-year-old and one written by a college graduate, and they can immediately tell the difference, right? Because we're all trained in that from the... Okay, so I looked at that and I go, no, most people, if they watched a show, could not tell you whether it was color corrected or not. They wouldn't even know what that means. So
that's true.
That created my mission of, if I can educate the consumer to be a discerning consumer and go, ooh, that's color corrected, it looks good, or that's not color corrected, it's really jarring, then our skill set becomes valuable.
Sure.
And our experience,
Yes.
In other words,
it's not good enough won't cut it anymore when they see what can be done, what can be done.
Once they understand.
Yes.
Once they get the literacy that we all have in language, when they get that in color correction and editing and audio mixing, etc. Then they won't accept a lower quality, and then they'll be paying for. I mean, they do anyway. They watch Game of Thrones. They'll pay for HBO to watch Game of Thrones because, ooh, I really like that, but they don't know why
That's right.
They like that.
Yes.
So and it's our fault as an industry because we've always hidden it. It's the magic of Hollywood. We've hidden the tips that we do and the tricks and things like that. We need to come out of the closet with all of that to educate the consumer so that they're willing to pay for us to be skilled enough to give them a better looking, sounding story.
It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, actually. Any other trends that you're seeing other than having to sort of, educate the consumer, also adding production to your post services? Anything else that you see coming for your company that might?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's been various pushes over the years, like the push for 3D, which this is stupid.
Yeah.
History tells you it's not going to work.
That's right.
Then there's 4K, which I'm like, well, the consumer can't really see the difference between 4K and 1080 on the size of a set and the distance they're sitting from it in normal situations.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can get this close to a 65-inch TV and go, oh yeah, I see the difference, but you can't tell that from where you would sit normally from a 65-inch TV. So that's kind of we're being forced to do 4K when it's really wasted, especially when they squeeze it down to 5 megabits to pipe into the home. But HDR is an entirely different thing, and HDR makes an amazing difference because by increasing the contrast ratio, you're adding more. When you add more contrast, the human eye perceives that as sharpness. So 1080 HDR looks sharper to the human eye than 4K SDR. With the same image, anybody would go for the 1080 HDR set. So HDR is really good. That's where everybody's trying to focus right now.
Yeah.
The problem is it's like the wild, wild west because even though there's technically SMPTE standards for it, there's not aesthetic judgment standards yet. And then the TVs that are out there, you've got Dolby saying, here, 4,000 nits is our brightest part. Sony's going, well, ours will go to 1,000 nits. And then the home sets, which are 300 to 650 nits. So what are you setting for? What is,
right.
And then where are people going to put things? And if I have a white screen, do I put it at 1,000 nits and give people a sunburn, or do I put it down at 80 nits so that it doesn't kill people? There's a lot of stuff going on right now that people are trying to work out. What are the not the SMPTE standards for the overall thing, but what are the actual standards we're all going to kind of work with?
Is it getting closer to being a standard on that side of it?
Not yet, no.
So is it really just people just doing it and then maybe sharing their successes with others?
It's such a limited market, even though there's a lot of buzz about it. When you get down to it, it's Netflix and Amazon are requiring it on certain parts of their made-for, their own programming, right? So if I sell something to Amazon of my own or sell it to Netflix, I don't have to do HDR. But if it's a Netflix original, and it also happens to be one of their movies or scripted TV, then they want HDR. If it's reality show Netflix original, they're not requiring the HDR.
Right.
They're just protecting for the ability to make an HDR master later.
Gotcha.
So they're kind of trying to force the issue, but nobody knows what it is. If you actually go to the Netflix people and say, well, where should I put the face on, 0 to 1,000 nits, where do I put a human face? Wow, that's up to you. So we don't have that yet.
Oh, so I think it's going to start getting really loud in here, and we probably have to
wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we do. Well, I mean, it's just tea, but cheers, Terry. Thanks for partnering with us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Thanks for having us. This has been fun.
It has been, right?